Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be organizing Marvel Legendary, a deck building game by Ultra Pro and designed by Devin Lowe. In this video, I hope to show you how we organize the entire Marvel Legendary collection all the way up to the Doctor Strange and the Shadow of Nightmare expansion that just recently released. We have it stored in a variety of different ways, and I want to go through and detail my exact thinking behind all of these different items and see if this is going to be an approach that's going to be good for you. I find that this is the best way to store a fully sleeved Marvel Legendary collection, and it gets gameplay started as soon as possible. And that's the idea here with all of these organizing videos. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow. And if you need any of the links to the items for any of the things that I talk about in this video, please look in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started organizing Marvel Legendary. First off, let's start with this binder here. This is just a standard 3-ring binder, and inside you're going to use all of these page protectors in order to organize all your different rulebooks as well as your expansion rule sheets. We've printed off just a picture of Legendary to put on the cover so that we can easily identify what this game is. Now let's take a look inside. First off, you'll see that we have the main game rulebook, and it's actually turned to the page for the solo instructions for scoring. This is a page that we use pretty frequently to score our game, so we went ahead and left it open here. You also are just going to have all of your storage for the different expansion rule sheets in here as well, and this is going to be in chronological order, so if you need to look up a specific keyword, you can just look it up by set, as it's listed on the bottom of all the different cards. So this goes all the way up to that newest Doctor Strange pack. So it's everything in this binder here. You can really customize this binder for your needs, and I think that it's a great tool to store all of your paper documents for the game that you'll reference here and there. The next thing we want to talk about is the board, and we don't actually use the standard game board anymore. There are a lot of options for using different playmats for the game, but we went ahead and printed out our own customized playmat. I really like the simplistic nature of it, and that it has a lot of different spots for all of your different editions and decks from all of the expansions. There are actual Ultra Pro branded ones that you can get as well. There's a really cool one with Thanos and the Infinity War saga on it, so I do recommend you check that out if you want an officially branded one with some really cool artwork, but I do really like this simplified tone here, and I think that it worked extremely well for just setting up a game pretty quickly and giving a lot of room for flexibility in the different areas. In order to store our playmats, we use the monster tubes. You simply pop the top off and then roll it out onto the table. I really like the way these works, and you can clearly see what the playmat is for on the sides here. And now that we've talked about all the accessories and all the reference material, let's talk about the cards and how we store them to get the game started as soon as possible. As you can see, we have 2 BCW boxes here. This is a brand that specializes in these generic storage boxes, and I really like the way that they function for storing your large card games. Now, these in particular are the Monster Storage Box and the Super Monster Storage Box. But when the collection gets even bigger, we're actually going to upgrade this monster into another Super Monster Storage Box. This holds a ridiculous amount of cards, and it's future-proof for future expansions. And when you do need to expand even more, you'll just get another BCW box. This is an extremely cost-effective option that's also going to solve the problem of having to open various boxes after boxes when all you have to do for this one is simply remove a lid and you're ready to go. Whenever a new expansion comes into the library, we make sure to implement it into our organization system as soon as possible. We do this through the use of index cards, scissors, and Sharpies. You simply cut down these index cards so they fit into the BCW boxes and then label them based on what their villain group, henchman group, etc. is. And then you'll slot them into their appropriate places in the organization system. In addition to being labeled, all cards will need to be sleeved upon entering our organization system. We use the Ultra Pro Pro Matte clear sleeves for all cards that are double-sided, and then for everything else we use just the standard white back sleeves. You can use matte or non-matte, it's whatever you prefer and whatever you like to shuffle. I personally prefer the matte sleeves because they just shuffle extremely nicely and they have that non-glare matte finish on them. And now let's talk about how the cards are organized in the different boxes, starting with this monster box here. In this smaller monster box here, you're going to have all of your non-hero cards. These include things like the villains, the masterminds, the henchmen groups, as well as all of your schemes, scheme twists, master strikes, bindings, bystanders, wounds, new recruits, Madam Hydra, sidekicks, shield agents, shield troopers, ambitions, master plans. All additional expansion content is going to be in this smaller monster box. On this right side, you'll have all of the villain groups. In this middle one here, you'll have the rest of the villain groups and then some of the henchmen groups, and then you'll have all of the masterminds and henchmen here. Once again, you're going to have it organized based on these index cards. You'll just put the name on top here and then their associated cards that go underneath. It'll just slot in appropriately into their different columns. And the last column here is going to have all of your standard cards. These are things like bindings, bystanders, wounds, etc. All of this stuff you'll always have set up on the table. And that's everything in this smaller monster box. Let's move on to this super monster box. Let's lift off the lid of this thing, and inside you'll see that we have all of the heroes. When it comes to organizing in these smaller groups, make sure that you're organizing in alphabetical order. It makes it so finding specific heroes and putting them away is so much easier, and you're never having to find and fish through specific symbols or anything like that. You just think of the name, and boom, you can find exactly where that character is going to be. So as you can see, we just have column after column of different heroes, all alphabetically organized. The last thing that's in this super monster box is a container from the Dollar Tree. You can get these 10 for $1, and I really like the way that you just pop the lid off and put them in the center of the table, and it becomes a token dish. This container in particular is going to have all of the shard tokens for the game, as well as the legendary king token that you're going to use for the Inhumans expansion. You'll need to use a token of your choice, and we just have a spare wooden token that's from the reprint copy of Pax Pamir 2nd Edition, because they replace it with some colored ones. So we have all of our shard tokens in here, and then our king token if you're deciding to play with any of those Inhuman cards. And that's everything in our super monster box. Let's go ahead and put our lid back on. And that is organizing Marvel Legendary. If you have any questions about what you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. How do you organize your copy of Marvel Legendary? Do you have any issues when it comes to getting the game set up or put away? How do you approach all of the copious content for the game? Have you played all the expansions? What are your favorites? We'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching SideGame Strong.